Hello everyone. My name is Brittany Needham and I will be next year's Vice President. Before we get started, we would like everyone to join us in reciting the National Honor Society Members Pledge. And then, you guys don't have it, so. I pledge myself. Always to seek the light of truth. To embrace the pursuit of knowledge. To engage in worthy service. And to lead with courage and integrity.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Riley McClanahan, and I am this year's National Honor Society Treasurer and next year's NHS President. I'd like to thank you all for attending the Cedar Woolley High School National Honor Society Tower of One Teacher Recognition Dessert Banquet, known by students and staff as POOP for short. I would like to start by introducing the rest of this year's officers. Please stand when your name is called. Alex Olmsley, Secretary, Amy Scholes, Vice President, and Sabrina Wilk, President. I would also like to explain why we are gathered here this evening. Other than the chance to enjoy some of Miss Ovenel Carter's cooking, our NHS seniors have invited you here to honor and thank you for your impact on their lives as teachers and mentors. Tonight is their night to show their gratitude for your countless hours and commitment to your students. Allow me to introduce our first speaker, Tammy Garcia, honoring Steve McCart.
Hello, I'm Tammy. So the person I'm going to honor tonight goes by the name of Steve McCart. He's sitting back there in the green shirt. He is a multimedia teacher here at Cedar Woolley High School. The first thing I want to start off with tonight is actually a little bit of background. I have been in at least one of McCart's classes since the first day of my freshman year. I took a variety of his classes, including animation, digital photography, yearbook, and numerous independent study and advanced graphic courses. This is all totaling up to 10 semesters of hearing the same McCart sayings every single day, and sometimes twice a day. The whole reason I chose McCart tonight is because of the path he introduced me to and the help along the way to get me where I am right now. I can remember somewhere into freshman year starting to experiment with Adobe Flash. It's a program used for animation. I would literally just sit there and draw the entire period in that program until one day Mr. McCart told me about this program called Adobe Illustrator. He didn't know anything about it, so he told me to experiment with it. And I was only a paper artist at the time, and it turns out that I gained so much more knowledge because I ended up mastering this program, and I actually at times had to help McCart with it. That was different, but it was fun. The point of my story is that when McCart set me free with this program, he also introduced me to the world of graphic design. I have been incredibly involved with graphic design the last 4 years and have designed at least 10 projects, including shirts, posters, and logos, and I owe all of the skills, work, and abilities I have to Mr. Steve McCart. He taught me everything I needed to know and got me started down this path that would eventually become a career. He also told me about this kid that used to sit in the corner of his classroom and was just amazing about everything. And it turns out that was my best friend's brother. I am now currently working with my best friend's brother to get a graphic design job along the side to help pay for college. The opportunity to have been in graphic design for years and having a side job that I can help pay for everything I need is just amazing. I really want to thank you, Mr. McCart, for have helped me along this journey. Oh God, where am I? I really just want to thank you for helping me along this journey of mine, and for everything you did for me. The last 4 years, you have supported me and were there to congratulate me on my achievements. I have never seen someone so proud of me before. You got me started in this world of design, and I can go so far with the knowledge I've gained from you. You always pushed me when you knew I could do way better than I was. You always believed in me and the work I do. You gave me an incredible amount of opportunities to further pursue what I ended up being really good at. I seriously owe everything, and I just wanted to say that you are my biggest role model here. Although your sayings got quite repetitive, and your reasoning was that you get new students and not new jokes, you made a tremendous impact on my life, And I wouldn't be where I am today without all the help I gained from you. I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me and for putting up with me for the last 4 years. You're the most influential teacher I've ever had, and that is why I chose you to honor tonight. And I hope you have the same influence on me, on my little sister, as you did on me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Hi, my name is Phoebe Anderson, and I am next year's club treasurer. It is my pleasure to introduce our next senior, Ashley Haley, who is also honoring Steve McCart.
I've never used one of these before. Go easy on me. When I signed up for Steve McCart's digital photography class at the end of my freshman year, I had no expectations. By that I mean I was neither ecstatic nor fearful, merely curious. Mr. Dorman had prepared me with the treacherous tales of Mr. Jensen and the horror stories of Miss Kitchens, but I had no knowledge of who this McCart guy actually was and what kind of teacher he would be. He was in charge of the plays, and he's a debate advisor. Oh yeah, I remember that one time I saw him holding a sign outside his room that said, "Stop having fun." What a weirdo. So during the summer, I decided to get a camera that I could use inside his class, and my first interaction with Steve McCart was during August in 2013. I remember walking with my mom into his Mac-filled classroom, adorned with a rolling book cart and completed with a single mannequin wearing a wig and a hat. There may have been some glitter on the floor as well. Once I got McCart started on cameras, he didn't stop. I was told the pros and cons of a Canon versus a Nikon, described their full anatomy, and was given near exact price ranges on both. I could tell from my first encounter with him how passionate he was. The first day of second semester, 6th period, sophomore year, I sat in the comfiest chair I'd ever encountered in my public school experience. McCart was singing something about orangutans and Christmas. I learned quickly to not disrespect the comfy chair. After my first day in McCart's class, I knew I'd found a home at school. Digital photography was the class that I was excited to go to every day, and still is. His 365-day challenge kept my tireless mind content and occupied my winter and spring afternoons. I was taught how to set a house on fire in Photoshop. And also, if you take 1,000 tedious pictures, you can make a movie. Even now, being crippled with a severe case of senioritis, I still look forward to McCart's class, even if all I do is listen to him yell at freshmen. Not only is McCart extremely entertaining, he just may be the most helpful teacher I've ever come across. It is challenging to dedicate extra time aside for others, especially when everyone has a different agenda. In the last 2 years, McCart has dedicated entire weekends to my friends and I to help us complete 4 different movies. He has seen us near tears from stress at the looming deadline and pulls out his fairy godmother wand. To a man who runs the plays, lip dub, camera club, yearbook, debate, photography, and cinematography classes, and has a family, sacrificing any free time must take a true love for your students and a desire to see them succeed. I remember that I called McCart during last summer, terrified because a woman had asked me to photograph her wedding. He answered on the 3rd ring, and I told him that I needed help. This was different from the occasional, "McCart, help me with the clone stamp!" At school, teachers are pretty much obligated to help their students. But on summer vacation, McCart could have ignored my call or tried to get me off the phone. But he spent a good 10 minutes on the phone with me, giving me all the knowledge and advice he could. He reminds me to try to be as helpful as I can. The lady never got married. I don't really know what happened there. McCart is also one of those teachers that lets you know about life. I've learned that it is okay to take reading materials to the bathroom. Any music after the 70s is not worth listening to. Don't take away power from words that should demand it, especially if you are a 9th grade girl who dropped an orange. Thank you, McCart, for being my mentor, friend, inspiration, and such a large impact in my life. You have allowed me to discover a true passion of mine, and I am so grateful to have taken your class and become your friend. I will carry the skills you have taught me throughout my life, and when we say goodbye at graduation, don't go away mad, just go away.
All right, next up we have Olivia Smith honoring Brad Hendry.
Mr. Henry. When I hear his name, several words come to mind. Honorable, humble, and heroic. He has been the kind of teacher that I can go to for anything. It's very easy to talk to him, even if I have to crank my neck up to look up every time. As a band student, I've been in Mr. Henry's class for all 4 years of my high school career. It's been a long 4 years. I've had to learn how to laugh at his jokes, deal with his fashion sense, and put up with his trumpet player mindset. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Mr. Henry has taught me more about myself than I ever thought possible. He has pushed me to be the best I can be, and has taught me that I can always improve myself. He is my role model and my hero. He always knows when I'm having a bad day or when I need to hear a bad joke. He knows me, and I don't think that every teacher gets the opportunity that Mr. Henry does. He watches us grow as musicians and as people and guides us in a positive direction for 4 years of my life. A lot of times I get scared and confused about what my future is going to be like without him as my band director. I've had tears in my eyes during class for the past 2 days. With Mr. Henry's help, I've made something of myself here. I'm a leader, I'm respected and loved by my peers, and I'm more ready for next year than I could have been if I didn't have him. He continues to challenge me and make me think about who I am as a person, and I finally really like who that person is. And I know that next year isn't going to make me feel less of that person, and it's because of him that I know I'm going to continue and improve and then never give up. Band is my zone. I never thought that I would enjoy it as much as I do, but now I can't live without it. He's created such a fun and caring atmosphere for his students, and I'm so glad to have been a part of that. He continues to bring out the best in people, and I think that we do that for him, at least some of us. Earlier I said Mr. Henry was humble. That was a lie. He knows that he's amazing, and his self-confidence really does rub off on his students in the best way possible. I have found my self-confidence, which was something that had been absent for far too long. I don't know how I can thank him for teaching me the things that I was afraid of finding out by myself. He's taught me that it's okay to be me as long as I'm trying my hardest, because I'll be amusing. And I'm so glad that he can be the example to show for that. So thank you, Mr. Henry, for always being there.
Thank you, Olivia. And Shayna Snyder will also be honoring Brad Hendry.
So, this one time at band camp, in the prep of my clarinet playing youth, I was an awkward soon-to-be freshman walking into the band room for the first time. It was an overwhelming experience walking in not knowing anyone amidst a pack of what I thought to be super cool, mature upperclassmen. But Mr. Hendry was there to make everyone feel like they belonged. He began the camp with several hilarious puns, and after a week of marching, playing music, and bonding with some pretty strange games, the band was already feeling like a cliche kind of family. It is no secret that band kids are not always considered the most popular kids in school. Some may even call us band geeks. But in band, social status is unimportant and popularity is overrated. Band is like a safe haven from all the judgment in high school. Mr. Hendry does not just teach his students scales and rhythms. We're also taught how to be accepting and how to have fun and not take ourselves too seriously. Mr. Hendry works hard not only to improve our band musically, but also to better us all as individuals. Mr. Hendry is more than a teacher, he is a mentor and a friend. He is always there to support students in all of their endeavors. This year, I was having a difficult time deciding which college I should attend next year, and he was there to help me decide my future by telling me how he chose his school, which ended up being really helpful advice that I used to decide to attend Whitworth. Band has been my favorite class for the past 4 years thanks to Mr. Hendry. His classroom is always an educational and comical environment. He's always cracking jokes, even though sometimes he is the only one laughing. He practices extreme patience when riding on a bus with 60 band kids for 12 hours on the Silverwood trip, and he constantly inspires us to practice and challenge our musical abilities.
And I would just like to say thank you for being such an amazing director these past 4 years.
Okay, so those desserts are looking pretty delicious, right? So if you guys want to go ahead and dig in, then that's all good. Next will be Rachel Anderson, honoring Lizzie Kitchens.
Miss Kitchens, the first time I walked into your classroom, I was excited for all the wrong reasons. I was overly confident in my writing capabilities to the point where I almost thought this class was going to be easy. After my first time to write, however, I was a bit less confident. As the year passed on and I learned more than I ever expected about writing, I regained confidence in my writing. There was a difference this time. That confidence was not misplaced. After a few months in your class, I felt like I actually knew what I was doing. While timed writes may never be a strength of mine, I know I have improved. Were it not for you, I doubt I would have been able to go into both the AP Language and AP Literature test with as much confidence as I did. Last year when you left on maternity leave, I felt deprived of 3 months worth of wisdom. I could not look forward to AP Lang with the same enthusiasm that I had before. Naturally, when I found out you would be teaching AP Lit this year, I was ecstatic. This year, AP Lit is the bright spot in my day. Whenever I walk into your classroom, I can always count on being greeted by a smile and a friendly hello. Your genuine enthusiasm and passion for literature and writing set you apart from many other teachers. It's clear that you actually care about what you're teaching. When you eagerly introduce a new novel to our class, I become more anxious to begin the novel. Some of the books I've read in your class, like The Great Gatsby and Pride and Prejudice, are novels I will read and reread and cherish for many years. Even when I don't enjoy the book, I've been able to find aspects of all the novels we have read these past 2 years to appreciate, which is something I couldn't do before. Many people dread AP classes, fearing that it is all boring textbook work and monstrous essays. The essays are monstrous, I will admit, but you have found ways to defy that expectation. To study vocabulary and allusions, we perform ridiculous skits. To learn different allusions, we have a tea party. To prepare to write an essay about a novel of literary merit in 40 minutes, we create hilarious film parodies. I've been fortunate enough to have many good teachers throughout elementary, middle, and high school, but you stand out as one of the best teachers I have had this far. I'm certain I will remember the lessons, language, and literature for a long time. As I head off to Whitworth in the fall, I will hold my memories close and hope to have another teacher who can inspire me as much as you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And next we will have John Batts honoring Erin Rosema.
For my most inspirational teacher, I had to choose my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Rosema. Never in my life have I had a teacher that made everything seem as fun as she did. While I haven't retained many specific memories of that time in my life, I remember loving school in 6th grade. Her enthusiasm for learning made it that much easier for me to strive to do my best. She always encouraged me when I didn't understand something, and that made me want to learn more and more. Her dedication to her students made everyone feel cared about, important, and special. She taught us that there are no stupid questions. I always appreciated her positiveness and her love for knowledge. Every day in her class was a fun and interactive day of learning, unless she wasn't there. One day, in fact, we had a substitute that was the complete and utter opposite of this wonderful lady. This sub, who shall not be named, apparently woke up on the wrong side of the bed, as she informed the entire class that we were all insignificant losers that would not go anywhere in life. No joke. I'm happy to report that she got fired after that incident and no longer works for the district. This made us appreciate Mrs. Rosema's kind heart all the more. Mrs. Rosema never gives up on anyone, and she's really good at coming up with a lot of different ways to explain the same idea so that every student gets it. She also makes an effort to teach her students on an individual level. With me, she noticed my ability to catch on to math pretty fast and had me studying algebra in her class. One of my most fond memories is the 4 4s. She had these big posters that were up on the wall that had the numbers 1 through 100. Now the goal was to use 4 4s and any combination of math functions to make up all the numbers between 1 and 100 and write the way that you got them on the poster. I made it my personal goal to somehow make all of them by the end of the year. That goal did not pan out, but I'm pretty sure I remember making like 40 or so different numbers. I was pretty excited about that. One day, Mrs. Rosema brought in these 3x3 cube puzzles that were made up of tinier cubes that were all strung together and would only fit into a cube shape one way. After the lesson that she taught us that day, she let us play with the cubes and encouraged us to find out how to solve each of them, as there were like 5 different puzzles. I ended up figuring out a couple of them, and I will never forget the fun I had playing with them. Okay, back to Mrs. Rosema. She always pushed us to do what subject we liked the least and get better at it. Mine was reading. She pushed me to read even though I couldn't stand it. Because of her, I found the series 39 Clues and soon found that reading wasn't actually that bad. Her passion for teaching influenced me to come back during my middle school years and tutor kids from her class in math, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Having her as a teacher has forever influenced my life for the better, and I am very fortunate to have had her and have become her friend. She was and is a spectacular person whom I will never forget. Thank you, Mrs. Rosema, for all you have done. I know your 2 sons will be very fine men someday. They are very lucky to have such an awesome, patient, enthusiastic, fun-loving mother.
Kaisel Gifford will be introducing Nate Rosema, but I don't think she's here yet. So Elizabeth Floyd will be honoring Catherine Playford.
So I decided to honor Miss Playford because she was one of my favorite teachers. Most people only get to have one teacher they really like throughout their high school career, or maybe if they're lucky a few times. I was lucky enough to have her for 3 years. I would have her for 4, but unfortunately, with Running Start, they wouldn't let me. I tried though. Instead, I am taking my 4th Spanish class at college, where the knowledge she has originally taught me has helped me better my understanding and help understand my new Spanish teacher, who is from Spain. Has a little bit of a different outlook on the language, but it helps. I didn't just learn Spanish in her class. I also learned to really think outside the box for certain types of assignments and be even more creative. With every project, I tried to make it even better than I originally thought. Bright colors made it appealing to every person. Some people got mad at me and said, "You made mine look really bad." But it wasn't my fault. I just wanted to have fun. So her class, of course, is always educational. But there's always those class clowns that try to be funny. Every year there was a group of guys that wanted to say something hilarious, but every time they might try to say it and it would come out wrong. She would work with them and try to tell them to stop doing that so that people would learn how to correctly speak. Not only that, they would try to disrupt class by asking her what picture she picked to help us understand and how weird they looked and however she could find it and all that. So Miss Playford taught me how to speak Spanish, which I always catch myself accidentally switching from English to Spanish in daily conversation. People will be like, "What did you just say?" "Oh, sorry, it was Spanish." So I was lucky enough to have her. She has taught me so much and has been more than just a teacher. She's been a good friend who has been there, and we've had fun conversations, like when I first got my cat. We talked about him all the time, and she told me about her cats. I ended up going to a college that she really loves, and that's Eastern. I'm hoping to continue my education in Spanish that she started for me back in freshman year. Thank you, Ms. Playford, for being a wonderful teacher, and I hope you continue being that wonderful teacher you always are.
And now, Anna Young is going to also honor Miss Playford.
Senora Playford, I don't know where to begin. You are my favorite teacher, and I'm going to miss you when I'm in Portland. You have been my Spanish teacher for 3 years, and you are very important to me. You have always helped me when I had problems both with Spanish and my home life. I cannot thank you enough for your support. You have become more than just a favorite teacher, you have become a close friend. I remember earlier this year, you attended one of my concerts, and it means so much to me that you went. You truly understand my passion for music, and I feel like I can open up to you about anything. Even though I've survived some of the world's darkest evils, I knew I could always trust you. You are one of the most understanding people I have ever met. I'm so happy to have been your student these past 4 years, and I wish I could stay, just so I could remain your student. I have learned so much from you. For this next part, I'm going to talk in Spanish. Me encanta cómo enseñas y puedo entenderte todo el tiempo. Tú has me enseñado más que cómo hablar en español. Tú has me enseñado cómo ser emociones fuertes, puesto en sí mismo y vivir para sí mismo. Tú siempre me has estado para mí y no puedo imaginar cómo viviré va a estar en colegio sin ti. No importa cuál es el problema sea, yo sé que tú vas a estar siempre para mí. Cuando mis padres se divorciaron, yo hablé contigo y tú me ayudas con mi hermano menor. Yo hablé contigo sobre qué pasó en diciembre a mí y entendiste que yo necesito tiempo y que la clase estaría difícil para mí. No sabes que como importante para mí. Tú me consideras mejor que tan profesor en esta escuela. Voy a extrañarte mucho, pero voy a visitarte. You're my favorite teacher and I love you. Thank you so much for all of your support.
That was really impressive. Okay, so now we will have Kaisa Gifford honor Nate Rosema.
Hello. A wise soul once said that running start is the equivalent of social isolation and being out of the loop. That wise soul was me, and I said that just now, and I'm sorry about walking in the middle of a speech because I didn't know that this thing was tonight. So this speech is going to be super from the heart, and I kind of feel like I'm cheating on all the wonderful, beautiful teachers I've had by picking Mr. Rosema, but I picked him, so in your face. He was my 6th grade teacher. I only had him for half the day, but that half of the day was always awesome. And I think the biggest favor he ever did me was make me memorize poetry, because it makes me seem super duper smart. Like during I was watching Interstellar with my friends, and the poem "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night" by Dylan Thomas came on, and I was just quoting the whole thing, casually, while my date was sitting there like, what? This lady knows the future. Anyways, thanks, man. So happy that I was happy that I could be in his class. Even though 6th grade is just super awkward time where you're not your best person, I'm sad that he remembers me at my 6th grade phase, but I'm happy that he put me on the right course at that time. Like, I remember once I was really attention needy or something like that. And I told him that my dog had died. And my dog had died years before. And when he started saying that he was so sorry, I felt bad and I confessed, and he told me that that was not cool. I have not tried that stunt since, and I have him to thank for that. And 6th grade teachers rule the world. Thank you, Mr. Rosema, for singing us all these cool songs, because that was way funner than Miss Dickinson's math lesson. So, we just had a rocking good time where we learned all about the cool things that learning is.
Carly Frohnberger will be honoring Wendy Albright.
From the time I was 5 years old, I have always wanted to be a teacher. Over the years, a multitude of people, including students and adults, have told me teaching doesn't pay a lot, or everyone says that at one point. But I have always known I truly wanted to be a teacher. Thanks to Mrs. Albright, my 5th grade teacher, I realized teaching is a very rewarding career. Mrs. Albright taught me how working hard pays off and being kind makes friends. She also showed me that school can be fun if you are surrounded by the right peers and teachers. Her kindness and way of teaching inspired me to be a teacher just like her. Whenever I look back at elementary school, I mainly remember 5th grade. I remember one time when we read a book called Milkweed. It was a book about a boy named Misha living in Poland during World War II. Throughout the book, he has to move from orphanage to orphanage, struggling to find food, and befriends a girl. But what I remember most about the story is not the book itself, but the party after we finished reading the book. At the party, where there were all kinds of foods that Misha had to eat, one of them was pickled herring. It sounds gross, I know. We were supposed to try all the foods, but no one would eat the pickled herring. So Mrs. Albright kept encouraging us to try something new, and finally I did. I found that it was not so bad, and it turned out I was one of the only students who would actually try it. What I'm trying to get at is, thanks to Miss Albright, I found that trying new things, even if it is nerve-wracking or doesn't look fun or good, can be rewarding and enjoyable. Trying new things is the gateway to life, and it is how you find yourself. Since 5th grade, I have been trying to open myself up to more opportunities. In 10th grade, I tried out for the play Legally Blonde, and I was so nervous because I did not know what it was going to be like. But once it was over, I felt very proud of myself, and I ended up being in the production. And it was one of the most fun experiences I have ever had. Also, during my junior year, I decided I wanted to join varsity and volunteerism. My mom mentioned that I could volunteer at Mary Purcell since she knew someone that needed some help. Once I started volunteering in one of the kindergarten classrooms, I realized I had to be a kindergarten teacher. And I have been volunteering in that classroom ever since. But once again, I remembered I want to be as sweet and caring as Mrs. Albright. Once more, I want to thank my favorite and most inspiring teacher, Mrs. Albright. You are the best. Thank you.
Emily Huggins wrote a letter for Doug Pierce, but unfortunately she was not able to make it tonight. So next we have Mackenzie Hunsaker, who is also honoring Mr. Pierce.
You even said my name right. Added bonus. Okay. Hey. I appreciate this opportunity to stand here and speak. Those being honored tonight have devoted their time, talents, and most definitely their patience to our collective and individual growth. The nature of this event only allows me to honor one person, but truly my success has been influenced by many caring people. Of course, this list consists of parents, coaches, friends, and church leaders, Yet I firmly believe that my teachers have formed a solid foundation that will support me in my achievement for years to come. Mom, you did a good job too. No worries. My high school experience has included instruction under almost half the teachers here at Cedar Woolley High School. I wish that I could honor all of them because they all deserve thanks for the difference they've made in my life. However, tonight I have chosen to honor Mr. Pierce. He is definitely the reason that I have continued my math education to the extent that I have. For those of you who don't know me personally, math is a super struggle for me. Maybe part of it is my ability to make mountains out of molehills, but sophomore year I was feeling super defeated, like I cannot do this anymore. Thankfully, Mr. Pierce was willing to work with me that year. He was the best teacher for me at that moment because I just really didn't think that I was going to be able to do it anymore. He was kind enough to help me practically with every problem that was assigned that year, and like every day was a puddle at the front of his desk. Even if I was a distressed puddle the whole time. He has a calm and determined ability to re-explain things in a new way, no matter how many times the same question is asked. This is definitely necessary for me because I was not getting it at all. His help reminded me that I too needed to have patience. Patience with the material, myself, my classmates, and life in general. I learned that there is no shame if you don't understand everything the first time. Some things need time to be processed, and Mr. Pierce is my example, that as long as you strive to do your best and to learn, there will be those who, along the way, who are willing to help you. In addition to my own personal saga, Mr. Pierce always has time for all his students. And the time in class was definitely not just monotonous lecturing. Mr. Pierce could probably fill a small library with his teacher anecdotes that he's learned over the years. I don't think that I can remember a lesson that did not have some witty comment or fun story to go along with it. Mr. Pierce is always up for a challenge, and he'll remind you, you aren't going to win it. As a testament to this, there are small trophies around about the size of a dollar bill hanging and flittering from the walls of his classroom. However, his crowning moment was definitely the day that he came into class and showed us the gap where his front tooth used to be. The cause? A piece of bacon. Forever earning him the title of Bacon Tooth, in my mind anyway. All this silliness put his students at ease and helped us to bond as a class. Laughter is one of the best balms for the abrasiveness of raw information. Mr. Pierce taught me and continues to teach all his students that learning doesn't have to be about experience. That even when we struggle with things we don't understand, we can triumph. We can move forward with confidence and continue on to new heights. When we believe in ourselves, the sky is the limit. So Mr. Pearson, I'm truly grateful for this opportunity to thank you for your encouragement, time, patience, and knowledge. I hope that you know that you are appreciated and that, at least for me, you made all the difference in the world.
Thank you again. Next up, we have Carly Logic honoring Wayne Ramsey.
Mr. Ramsey, I would like to start out by saying that I'm glad to see you decided to comb your hair for this. You've been my teacher for 4 years now and my FFA advisor for 3. Over the years, we have had crazy fun and hilarious experiences, like stopping at nearly every rest stop on the way to Spokane, you getting stuck in an elevator and prying the doors open with your bare hands, having huge FFA bonfires, and being with Alec on his first flight. I am proud to say we are both finally starting to step out of our shells a little more, despite your shy and quiet nature. In all seriousness, you have had more influence on my high school career than any other teacher has. I want to thank you for getting me involved in FFA, where we put the smack down on countless teams, and I achieved things I previously wouldn't have thought possible. More than any number of awards we FFA kids have received, though, are the relationships we have built and the traits we have developed. Without you, Ramsey, I still may have found my way to the person that I am today, but the journey here definitely would not have been as fun, meaningful, or interesting, and probably wouldn't have involved as much ranch or ketchup. Under your guidance, I have developed leadership qualities, learned how things work in the real world, gained more self-drive and motivation, expanded my creativity as well as my curiosity, and picked up a few dance moves and driving tips. Anyway, your classroom has been my home away from home and my safe haven all throughout high school. And if I ever didn't have somewhere to go, your classroom is where I automatically ended up. I know that sometimes keeping track of all your teens is like, as you say, herding cats, but you're the best man for the job and have never let us down. You've always been there for me, and I just wanted to let you know you're kind of a legend. Thank you.
Rebecca Matthews will be honoring Laura Schmidt. Okay, we'll be the next one then. So that will be Bryn Tenney honoring Wendy Heinemann.
Hello. Sorry, Carly, you're a little short. So I have never had a teacher I didn't like. I've had subjects I didn't like, but never a teacher. I could no more pick a favorite teacher than a parent could pick a favorite child, though I do know in my family I am. Every teacher I've ever had has played a part in helping me become the person I am today. However, I do feel that Mrs. Heinemann deserves special recognition for all that she has done this year. She truly is a remarkable woman. I do not give her praise. I do not give her praise because of what she has done for me, but rather what I have seen her do for others. Just this last semester, a fellow classmate of ours was kicked out of his home, and Mrs. Heinemann did not judge him for whatever reason his family ostracized him for. She was there for him, to give him support, encouragement, and a ready ear to listen. She has done this multiple times throughout the year. One of my closest friends was hurt in an unforgivable way. And yet again, Mrs. Heinemann was there to listen, to reassure, and to comfort. She truly and completely cares for each one of her students. And you can see that she cares. It's as plain as daylight. It's as plain as daylight because she is a light wherever she goes. You know, in a world where everyone is so concerned about themselves and no one else, she stands above it all. She stands above it all to help those who are in pain and in need. She has been an immovable pillar for those of us who are weak and who are hurt to lean against and to gain our breath and find the strength to carry on again. Over time, I may forget the lessons I learned in Mrs. Heinemann's class about fallacy, archetypes, and whatnot. But I will never forget her shining example, her never-ending love for her students. I will never forget how she listened and how she made everyone feel like they mattered. I will never forget her. So, Mrs. Heinemann, thank you for being the wonderful woman that you are, and for being a truly incredible teacher. Because the best lessons I learned from you were not from books or essays, but from you being the example of the kind of person I want to be.
Thank you, Bryn. Next up, we have Emily Van Loo honoring Hillary Knight.
Hi, I'm Emily. So I did Hillary because she's my chemistry teacher for the past 2 years, and I TA'd too, and she's an awesome teacher. Anyways, so Hillary has been one of the most influential teachers in my life at Cedar Woolley High School. She has been more than just a teacher. She has been someone I knew I could come to talk to about anything, and she would be ready to answer it or willing to figure it out somehow. She doesn't see her students as just students. She cared about how each and every one of them was doing. She doesn't just ask, "How are you?" to be nice, she actually wanted to know. She also taught me how to work hard to get the results I wanted in life. She was an amazing chem teacher. I learned so much from her, and she showed me how fun science can be, and it's not just a whole bunch of equations that don't mean anything. Learning things from her was easy. She always had the best analogies to explain something in chemistry. I'll never forget the analogy for orbital diagrams. She explained it as an old man living in an apartment. They all wanted to live on the lowest floor because it meant they didn't have to go upstairs. But they also didn't want to live. But they would also want to live alone. They would pair up if it meant they didn't have to go up a floor. She made learning fun. I couldn't have asked for a better chemistry teacher than Miss Knight. I know I will be able to use all that she has taught me in the future. Thank you so much for all you have done for me and taught me.
And last before our break will be Reese Miller honoring Hillary Knight as well.
When I was a freshman, diving into my first semester of high school ever, my science teacher at the time, Mr. Evangelista, would tell us tales of the infamous Mrs. Knight. She told us about this tough, outspoken teacher from across the hall who would take BS from no one. And when our class would start to go off on a tangent, getting a little loud and obnoxious, as we freshmen often did, he would just shake his head and say, "You just wait until next year. Miss Knight is going to strangle you." So of course you can imagine my concern when I discovered who my chemistry teacher would be that following year. On that first day back, I had no idea what to expect. Aside from rigorous coursework, of course, and my inevitable strangling, I had no idea what the classroom would have in store for me. But as it turns out, room 116 would soon become my comfort zone, and Miss Knight would become one of my biggest motivations and one of the best people that I've had the pleasure to know. As I walked into that classroom the first time, we were all greeted with a plethora of foreign concepts. New schedule, new faces, a fresh new set of notes each day containing disturbing curriculum. But most importantly, she greeted us with a smile and her enthusiasm to teach. She greeted us with this air of confidence that made it seem as though kinetics wasn't that hard, and that coffee cup calorimeters made sense. Which, if you don't have any chemistry classes, I hope you can sense my sarcasm. And if you do, we're survivors, you and I. But luckily, I had Miss Knight there, and we muddled through it together. In the end, no matter how hard the struggle, whether it be second or third or sixth period, chemistry has always been my favorite class of the day. And here I am, nearly graduated, 2 years of chemistry, stronger and more fluent in this crazy field of science than I ever thought I would be. I'll be going to Western next year, and I can say with absolute pride that I look forward to my chemistry classes almost as much as college itself. But I'm also kind of dreading it. Not because I'll have to be taught about wavelengths all over again, or like I'll have to pretend like I know how to calculate the delta H for God knows what, but because I won't have Miss Knight there to teach it. Instead, it'll be some poor college professor with 1,000+ students and a class the size of Cedar Woolley. And I'm sure I'll enjoy it just fine, but I'm going to let him know right away that he has some very, very large shoes to fill. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for everything. I'll miss you more than you know.
Hi. I don't think we got the message that going together meant writing separate speeches. So my name is Michaela Matthews.
My name is Esmeralda Munoz, and today we're here to honor our AVID teacher, Mrs. Dillon.
So I joined AVID my sophomore year, and I really joined it because my friends were in it, and I was like, oh, this will be fun. I'll be in Miss Schumacher's class. And then I got my schedule, and I was in Miss Dillard's class, so I was really nervous. Quickly, I found out that I was really lucky that I got her class.
I joined AVID in middle school, but entered Mrs. Dillard's class my freshman year after moving here from Mount Vernon. Mrs. Dillard helped me feel welcome here at Cedar Woolley High School since the very first day.
Ms. Dillard is always really excited about all of our achievements. So today I got my first acceptance letter to college, Montana State. I'm not going there, but it was my first one ever. I brought it into her room that morning and she jumped up and down, and I think she was more excited than I was. It was really exciting.
She has been there with me in the ups and downs. On the day of my ACT test day, Mrs. Dillard drove me to Stanwood, helping me find a printer to print my ticket for the test after I had forgotten it at home. We rushed to a nearby AutoZone in front of the high school and as many businesses as we could think of that had printers. And finally we printed at the high school, fortunately.
Ms. Dillard genuinely cares about all of her students. She'd do anything to help us. Her door's always open, like before school, after school, during school. I remember working on like a project, it was like a film, and she was like, oh, you can just stay here as long as you need, close the door when you're done. And I stayed there until like 4, she was gone.
She's always supportive. She has helped me fix my schedule every time I go up to her complaining, and when I don't like my schedule, and I worry that I won't be able to graduate with all my requirements.
I look forward to AVID every day. At first I was really nervous, and Ms. Dillard made it fun, and it's the class I look forward to. I'm glad I have it 6th period for my senior year. It helps me get through the day.
Since the first day of school, Mrs. Dillard allowed us to be comfortable in her class. I remember my freshman year, she allowed seniors to talk to us, and she stepped out of the class so we can ask questions about her freely. It was a good experience.
As supportive as Ms. Dillard is, she always makes sure we're doing what we need to do. If we're slacking off, she makes sure that we get our assignments done. I know she looked up our missing assignments one day and was like, in this class, why is this missing? So she definitely keeps us in line.
And she prepares us the most she can for college as possible by doing SAT practice problems every single morning in our junior year. And she also made us apply to every single scholarship out there and write our college essays on time. This year, she allowed Cindy Rooks and I write our McIntyre scholarships, and she edited them. And she also, we turned them into her, and she turned them, and the very next day she mailed them, so they got there on time.
Ms. Dillard's the person I go to when I need like advice or help. I can always count her to be there for me. She has more confidence in me than sometimes I have in myself, and she always pushes me to do bigger and better things. Through my successes and my failures, she's always supported me, and I really appreciate having her for the last 3 years. Thank you.
Mrs. Dillard has been the greatest mentor in my life and throughout high school. Whenever I struggled emotionally or academically, she was there for me. Out of the countless amount of times I have scurried to her class for help, even when I did not have her as a teacher my sophomore year, she has been there for me. Beyond the time AVID as a family, she has really been there supporting me. This year, she represented me as my parent in the Champions of Diversity ceremony when my mother could not attend. She has written numerous letters of recommendation for me, cards to encourage me in my debate and FBLA competitions and before every single interview, and she trusts in me even when I don't trust my own abilities. Thank you for being a great AVID teacher and bearing with us for 4 years. Thank you.
I got this. Okay, hi guys, my name is Olivia Nichols, and next year I will be Secretary for National Honor Society. And we're going to finish off the rest of the seniors, starting with Olivia Nichols, who will be honoring Gary Bletch.
When I first walked into Mr. Butch's 6th grade classroom, I was excited to be at the top of the school. I heard his class was challenging, but I was willing to do the work hard to prepare myself for middle school. Throughout the year, I learned many interesting things, from the beauties of nature and birds to his fascinating stories of his trips to other countries. I remember when Mr. Butch used to read to the class and use funny accents to make the books interesting. And I also remember when he would stop in the middle of class to teach us about the bird he heard outside the window. Mr. Butch knew how to challenge us, inspire us, and have fun all at the same time. Mr. Butch is truly passionate about teaching, and he cared about every student and wanted every student to succeed. He constantly let me know that I will be successful in life, and whenever I needed his help, he was always there to help me. Mr. Butch was the first teacher to tell me that I will do impacting things, that I will change the community and become something great. He said that he could see me as a doctor, and next year I plan on majoring in the medical field at Whitworth University. Mr. Butch's faith in me originally inspired me to think about being a doctor. Mr. Butch made me believe in myself, and for that I'm truly grateful. I am very thankful to have Mr. Butch as a mentor and friend, and I know he will always be there for me.
Next will be Corey Peterson, who is honoring Beth Veit.
Just like hold it.
Twist it. You got
twist
it
towards
you.
Pick up the microphone.
Do you want me to help you?
Yes,
Thank you. Now we can get started. Not enough can be said about Ms. Veit. She's the kindest person I've ever met and had the privilege of meeting, even more so than Alec. I'm sorry. Her incredible passion for teaching has helped me mature and progress in my life more than I thought was possible. I'm glad that I got to know her not just at the teaching level, but on a personal level as well. Throughout my elementary school career, I realized that I had difficulty starting out sentences. I would always say before everything I said. This was quite a problem when we did math facts around the world. I lost every time. After realizing that I had this problem with my speech, she helped me learn that it's not necessary to say every time you try to say something. After that, I started practicing math facts by myself at home and steadily got better. Through the 2 years that I had Ms. Veit, 3rd and 4th grade, I learned more than I ever thought was possible. She did more than just teach me math facts and about English. Ms. Veit helped me mature greatly through my life. Multiple times she would pick me out of the class for doing something childish and immature. It's okay, I was actually doing that. I'm glad she did this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be who I am today. Something else that I thought of when I thought of Ms. Veit was the first time that I saw her. My parents had heard that we would be having a new 3rd grade teacher come to our school, and so they thought it would be nice to go on in a few weeks before school and get to know her. We walk on through the door to the portables, and I look, and I see her, and I think to myself, man, I'm almost as tall as she is. And I walk on out, and I'm smiling to myself, and my dad looks at me and he's like, what are you smiling about? And I put a hand above my head. I'm like, this is my goal. I need to be this tall by the end of the year. And through those aspirations, I have learned that it's not only important to grow, but also to grow mature and in good. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for your influence on my life, Ms. Veit.
So when I sat down to write this speech, I could not determine a good way to ease myself into speaking without an awkward beginning. But the thing is, this is already awkward. I am speaking to a little camera, and no one else. So be it. So as I went to choosing a teacher for this speech, I found it rather difficult. This thing just keeps on falling.
Turn it backwards and tighten it.
I found it. Oh, wow. I'm learning things every day. Okay. All my teachers have an impact on me in some way or another. Mr. Ramsey, he taught me how it's important to build strong bonds with my teammates, and also some good driving techniques. And then there's Mrs. Kitchens, who opened up the world of poetry to me, and also indirectly taught me how much tea I can consume to counteract the issue of sleep. And then there's Mr. Jensen, who has the virtues of patience and thoughtfulness, and has taught me that it's okay to cry when I'm doing math. There's Mr. Bond, who I see as a wonderful human being, a perfect role model. Mr. Pierce, who has the passion to come in every day, even though you believe your life is the myth of something or another, I can't remember, but I was going to say syphilis, and I know that's I wonder, even though I just said it. And Miss Knight pushed through all of her hardships in her life so that you could give us students the best education that we could. I'm sorry you had to follow that, I'm so sorry. And the list continues on. However, when I reached Mr. Dorman, I noticed something. He is the reason why I am who I am today. He is the root to most of my achievements I have earned to this day. Before I went to his Honors 10 English, I frankly did not really care about this concept of overachievement and English in general. Yeah, after those 180 grueling days of 8th grade, you all know what I'm talking about, I learned the power of speech, word, and language. I saw the potential in myself to go beyond the previous limits I once set for myself. So this is what I'm saying to you, Mr. Dorman, who is absent now. I can link my aspiration, my courage, my energy, and my dreams back to what you taught me. You opened a new path through the wilderness for me. It's not been the easiest of paths, but I have no regrets. To you, I can blame the stress and countless hours of lost sleep. To you, I can blame my success. To you, I can blame my dark writing. To you, I can blame my precious life I live. You planted a seed in my heart that grows to this very day. Someday, I wish to see the seed bloom and cast seeds itself. You influence the life I live now. I found my talent in speech. I found my talent in writing. I found my addiction to knowledge. All because of your warmth, the poetry turtle, and Sarah Mill. That's how I see it. So to all of you out there who pressed that little button that says, "Was a pleasure having class," on those little grade sheets, you owe that button press to Mr. Dorman. Now I only can say I hope you press that button truly, or else my entire high school career has been a lie. Nevertheless, that's something we can discuss later if you want to. Mr. Dorman, I thank you. I thank you for influencing me in ways you never could see. I walk a path I believe that is my true and ultimate calling. I have no regrets thanks to you. I am forever in your debt. Thank you.
Although Mr. Dorman is not present tonight, I'll give the speech as if he were here. He actually told me that the reason he isn't here is because he heard Mr. Jensen would be here, but I wasn't supposed to say anything. Oops. In all seriousness, Mr. Dorman has made an incredible impact on my life. Mr. Jensen has had a positive impact on my life as well, and I contemplated writing a speech for him, but Mr. Dorman has hair. When I was in 7th grade, I needed to get into a classroom that was locked. My current English teacher, Mrs. Stoner, told me that if I asked Mr. Eatma nicely, he would probably let me into the room. I then turned to Mr. Dorman and asked him nicely to open the door for me. I thought he was Mr. Eatma. Amazingly, even after that first encounter, Mr. Dorman still let me into Honors English the next year, which demonstrates his understanding nature. Mr. Dorman
continued to present a speech to Mr. Jensen, so he was not lonely. So the speech is held the difference a bald man can make. I'm not sure why, but we're going to go with it. So now I'm going to personify Sabrina, so just imagine it. I'll never forget the first words you said to my freshman first period geometry class. Welcome to hell. Despite your attempts at making sure we never left without work, because you knew we'd surely be desolate without it, your class was never hellish. Not because of the subject matter, although of course math can be scintillating, I believe that's what, she has big words, okay? Geometry and this year AP Calculus were classes I looked forward to because you always had something interesting to say. Whether it was a comment about throwing freshmen out the window in case of a natural disaster, or you running along the chalkboard trying to illustrate the difference between speed and velocity. The class never went by without a laugh, except on test days, when we all cried on the inside, and sometimes on the outside. I testify to this. But other than that, you made the class fun. You made it easier to learn. Even more than a math teacher, you are, to me, a teacher of character, a teacher of patience and thoughtfulness and hard work and humor. You hold your students and yourself to high standards, and you expect effort. But you're always there to help if we need it, and you spend more time at school than Shakespeare spent writing plays. You get involved in student activities. You cheer for us at our soccer games and plays and concerts and track meets. You're not afraid to show off your calves for the teacher Wooly flip stub. Most of all, you make the best of your time and you live it to its fullest. You've told our class that a person might as well crack a few jokes and enjoy themselves, whether they're happy with their lives or not. And that's what you always do, whether you're feeling great or like a pile of horse poop with a bad headache. Far from being hellish, your class is one of the best in my day because you teach it. Along with your advice about being optimistic, you've also told our class a couple of times that you could just be a crazy bald man, and maybe we shouldn't listen to you. I think there's no doubt that you're a crazy bald man, and that we should most definitely listen to you, because you're crazy in the best way, in a kind, hardworking, funny, mathematically genius, caring way. And therefore, by the Student Appreciation Theorem of Calculus, I'd like to tell you that you have inspired me to work my hardest and be the best person I can be. And I can personally testify Sabrina could never put it in better words. Thank you. QED.
Speaking about Amanda Chavon is Max Gregory.
I'm not into public speaking, so I remember what I used to hear about Mr. Bond from the high school musical Grapevine. Mr. Bond in a classroom was said to be a crashing ocean of darkness with a constant shower of lightning that allowed few safe harbor. Being a shy mouse myself, my heart raced a mile a minute as Mr. Bond took attendance for the first time in my Avid class. She called my name, and I said here. She smiled and moved to the next name on the list. That was not what was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen was Mr. Bond was supposed to throw a hex on me, flash her fangs, then go in for the kill. I guess Mr. Bond isn't a natural-born predator. Perhaps a person? What? After months of laughing and eating lunch in her classroom, as any popular kid would do, I decided Mr. Bond was someone I really admired. This was obvious as one day I mistakenly called her Mom. Out loud in front of the whole class. As they laughed, I turned tomato red. As time passed, high school got more difficult for me and my family, and Mr. Bond was there for me. It meant a lot because I attended to try to keep things under the surface, and she knew that. She made me feel like I could talk to her about serious things, not just regular conversations on what kinds of STDs that ducks were immune to. The answer is syphilis. She helped me get through my problems, and I felt more than just a student, I felt cared for. As this year ends, I couldn't be more grateful for the teacher I've had for the past 4 years. Mr. Vaughn is my teacher, a driver of a black Vespa, a proud owner of a multi-rolled bulldog, a vegetarian, a Bellingham resident, and my second mom, but above all that, Amanda Jane Chavon is my friend.
Carissa Bortalk is also speaking about Ms. Chavon. It's bar talk if anybody
As I walked into Ms. Chavon's classroom freshman year of Avid, I was scared. From Amy's older sister, I heard that she was the teacher that would assign essays over homecoming weekend. Gasp, who would ever do that? I also heard that she was strict and that texting in her class was a thing someone wouldn't even think of doing. While most of this is true, it's also true that she gave us a month to write an essay that we all just pushed off until the weekend of homecoming. Along with the fact that Ms. Chavon is a teacher who will occasionally start quoting Iggy in the middle of her sentence and has the biggest heart for all of her students. I have had the pleasure of having Ms. Chavon for all 4 years of high school and for 5 different classes. Chavon has been an enormous support system for me since freshman year. The student that I am today is an outcome of her influence on me. She has always helped me to see the potential in myself. Chavon has kept me in line throughout high school. She has always made sure that I buckled down and wrote my paper instead of seeing how many cute dresses I could pin on Pinterest. She was there through all of my trials and all of my victories, and she cheered me on the whole time. I couldn't imagine surviving high school and going to college without Chavon. I will always cherish her advice, candy stash, pink pants, sentence diagramming skills, impeccable bird drawing skills, glitter stash, and heart. You have been so good to me, and I can't thank you enough. You have gone above and beyond what any teacher is required to do, and I am forever grateful for that. Thank you.
Lindsay Nordstrom will be honoring Amanda Chavon as well.
I need help. Is that good?
That's good.
Oh. Okay, you're gonna have to hold it.
Okay, well this is awkward. Miss Chavon. She was not just my... I'm sorry. Okay. She was not just my 10th grade honors English teacher. She was my Avid teacher, or as my class would call her, our Avid mom. Miss Chavon has been there for me through the most arduous times of my life, and I can't thank her enough for all the advice she has given me. She impacted all the decisions I've made when I was in a hard time, whether it was about school or personal problems. Because of her, I hope to show someone the same compassion she's shown me whenever I was at my lowest. She was the one who always saw and had high hopes for me. I can't even remember the first day I walked into her class and thinking to myself how intimidating and mean and scary she was. Everyone thought the same. But I learned to come around and understand why she is the person that she is today. And without her guidance throughout high school, I know I would not be standing right here, right now. She's pushed me to keep going when life got hard. She always inspired me to do better and great things. She always lent a helping hand and listened whenever I needed to talk. And for that, I'm most thankful. Because of Miss Chavon,
She taught me what it means to be resilient. She's taught me what it means to persevere. And most importantly, she's taught me what it means to be an avid student. I don't know what I will do without her in college, but I know that I will always remember her as the person who believed in me. I'm going to miss her when I leave the halls of this high school, but I know that even after graduation, she will still have high hopes for me and everyone in our little Avid family, which is why she is my Avid mother. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Now, Jordan Burke will be honoring Gavin Grant.
I'm just going without it because it's a lot easier. So throughout my high school career, the one person who's always been there for me and helped influence me in making a better person was Gavin Grant. He has been a great role model for me through both my academic and social life. If it wasn't for him, I would have no funny jokes. And I would know how to text in class, talking with other teachers. With him, it's practically impossible. Every word you say in class, he'll hear, no matter where you are or how quiet you say it. Through his study, he has shown me how diverse our world and community actually is. Within the 4 years I've been in his class, he has shown me what characteristics a great teacher should have. Mr. Grant cares for his students more than just on an academic level. When I have struggled with certain areas, mostly with senioritis, he's been there to help me, assure me that I'll pull through and come out on top of it, whether the problem was social or school related. One of the things I find best on Mr. Grant is he always treats you with respect. Some teachers talk to you as if you're children and don't give you respect, as I think some students should have. Mr. Grant treats everyone equally and respects everyone. He lets everyone call him Gavin, which for me is great because it makes it easier to talk to him as a person, not just like a teacher you're scared to talk to. What's my spot? Gavin has impacted my life in more ways than I can ever imagine, and I cannot thank him for how many things he has done for me and helped me. I do not believe my high school career would have been the same without him. He helped me get out of my bubble and be able to be more social. So thank you for listening to my speech, and thank you, Gavin, for all you do, and thank you for making me who I am.
Speaking about Robert Slobodnik.
I'll just hold it for you.
You're gonna hold it for me?
Yeah, I got you.
Sounds like a plan. All right. So hello everybody. My name is Tyler Handy, and tonight I would like to talk about my French teacher, Mr. Slobodnik. The first thing I'd like to say is that I can remember that first day in French as clear as day. I go in there, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing in a French classroom? I can't learn a new language. I can't remember. I had a hard enough time learning how to write English for my entire elementary school career. So I walk in there, and the instant we sit down, he makes us get up and go out into the hall and tells us that we're going to start every day out there, and that the moment we walk through his door, we can no longer speak English unless otherwise told so. I'm like, oh boy, what have I gotten into now? But the thing that he has taught me is that I can step out of my comfort zone, because going through French, I had to relearn everything that I thought was easy by this point. And I'm sitting there as we circle up in class, and I'm just going over the same words in my head, hoping he won't call on me, and that I'm going to screw it up, and then everyone's going to laugh at me, which probably happened at some point, but I don't remember now. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm just saying, "Je m'appelle Pierre," over and over and over, which literally means, my name is Pierre. You'd think I'd have that figured out by week 4, but nope. And I got through French 1, and it must have gone well enough because I decided to go into French 2. And then he told us at the beginning of the year we're going to have to do a big old dance routine at the end of the year. I'm like, oh great, I get to dance in front of people. I don't even dance if I'm alone. and then he said we'd have to memorize a song. I'm like, yay, I can't sing. So I got to work with my group, and over the couple months that we had to prepare, I felt that I could build more as a person and outreach more to new people that I hadn't ever planned to work with. And then with our culture credit projects that we have to do, he allowed me to look out past just what was in front of me and I could look into a whole new culture, a whole new group of people with new foods and new dances and new music. And I realized that that's a skill that coming out of my senior year is going to be helpful for me for the rest of my life. Because I will be able to look at people in a completely different way and accept how they act or what they do for where they are. And I feel like coming out of high school, it's one of the best skills I could have possibly learned, and I owe it all to Mr. Slotnick. Oh great, I have this mostly memorized, but now I'm going to have to crack it open real quick, forgive me here. And let's see, I'm on page 2 already. Coming through high school, I've been with Mr. Splotnick for the past 3 years, and it's always been that one class in the day that I've looked forward to, even when I knew I was going to go in and probably mess something up, and I was terrified of that. But it was always that highlight of the day because I could learn something new that I had never experienced, and with the way he teaches, with us running across the classroom trying to put words on the board, and the Spanish kids in the next room over there like wondering what we're doing because we're loud, we're very loud, and we're yelling at each other the whole time. And then my cousin Nicole would come out of Spanish and be like, "What were you people doing over there?" I'm like, "Well, we were playing Verbathon," and she didn't get it. I don't know what it was, but French people get it. So I can say with all honesty that he was one of the most important people throughout my high school career because he was always there for me and always a room that I could go to and have a good time. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Splotnick.
We will be presenting for Mason Elms, who would have presented for Mrs. Elms, but he is at a track meet racing it up right now. So.
You just had to turn the thing so it's even. Anyways, so I'm not Mason, obviously, but I'm reading to his mom. You have probably realized why I told you to come to this dinner by now. You are also wondering why I chose you most likely. When I heard about this dinner for the first time, I thought of inviting, the first person I thought of inviting was you. You have taught me so much over my 17 years. You have challenged me in every aspect of life, and although it took me 16 years to figure out why you did that, I'm very thankful for you. You have been the best role model, showing me dedication, work ethic, and how to be selfless. You lead by example and push me to be the best I can be. No matter if it is in school, sports, or even solving a puzzle that I wanted to stop doing because I got stuck, you motivated me. There is no chance that I will be able to repay you for all that you have done. I thought this dinner would be a good place to start. The impact on my life isn't entirely why I chose you. It's because you are there for anyone that needs help. But the first time I realized you had that special gift to touch people's lives was when I came to your classroom to help. Not just one time, but every single time. I see you pushing your students and expecting the best out of them. None of your students feel excluded in your classroom. You teach every single kid until they get it. Not only the learning aspect of teaching, I've seen kids come into your class crying, sad, angry, etc., and by the time they leave, they have a smile on their face. It's easy to help out family. It isn't easy to help out everyone. That's the real reason I chose you. You are one of the greatest all-around people I have had the privilege to spend time with. You have made me into the person I am today. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have you to set that type of example for me. So for that, I thank you. You mean the world to me. Thank you for everything you've done, not just for me, but for everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be here in person to read this to you, but you understand.
Now, will you all please join me in thanking Miss Nita and Miss Carter for all their hard work putting this together, and all of our speakers for making